The QEH Pulse radio show brought to you with the kind compliments of MedSafe Medical Supplies.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials. Good morning to everyone here with us on Q100.7 FM. Yes, we're back for another edition of the Pulse Radio Show, production of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in collaboration with our sponsors, MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, and of course Q100.7 FM CBC Radio. I'm Shane Seeley, communication specialist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Always a pleasure to be with you on a Monday morning. We had 2 Mondays off because it was 2 consecutive bank holidays. We had some short weeks. I think everyone really enjoyed themselves, had a chance to relax and reflect. Of course, the bank holidays, one being May Day, then there was Heroes Day just before that, and before that, what was that Monday?
Easter Monday.
Easter Monday. the most important
of
the 3 Mondays.
Yes.
And the voice you're hearing is our manager of patient relations, Rhea Corbin-Harte, back with us to spend some time with me on the Pulse Radio Show. Let's go way back to episode 1, season 1, when she was my co-host, but then she got so busy, got taken away from me to do all of those patient relations activities. Of course, she is the one who is in charge of that hotline that I encourage you to call. That being 536-4800, the Patient Advice and Liaison Service. And they have been doing a good job responding to you, members of the public, when you call with questions about your appointments. There are so many topics that are covered and questions that are answered on the Patient Advice and Liaison Service. It's also known as our help desk, your hospital pal. And we really thank them for responding to your queries, especially when they come here to us on the Pulse Radio Show. Rhea, Dr. Corbin-Harte, great to have you back to spend some time with me.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here as always.
Yes, we got a lot to talk about today. I know as far as the QEH is concerned, everyone has been focusing on recent activities. A prisoner escaping the custody of prison officers while being treated in the accident and emergency department at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We've been constantly working with the team at the Barbados Prison Service. It's an unfortunate situation, but of course we try to look for ways to improve how these things are handled while these patients are within our facility. It is the responsibility of the prison service and their officers to manage those patients which are prisoners when they come to the hospital, and it is their responsibility to ensure that that custody is maintained. It did not happen in this case, but we will continue to work with them, and we have this continuous working relationship with the Barbados Police Service. They have increased their presence on the ground at the QEH for the past several months. Since we had our new CEO, actually, they have been enhancing their presence, ensuring that our patients and our staff and visitors at the hospital are in a safe environment, and we thank them for their service in that regard. But as any working relationship, we will continue to look for ways to enhance what we do at the QEH to make sure that our patients, staff, and visitors feel safe when they come to the facility. And that is something that we have been focusing on as well, at least as far as Dr. Corbin-Harte's department is concerned. And we have been asking you, some of the patients some questions in that regard. Remember, you can call us right here on the Pulse Radio Show at 434-1007 or 434-1070. There's also that number that you can send us a WhatsApp. That's 434-1007. We are always ready to hear from you, to answer any questions, queries, concerns, or listen to those compliments which you often send us as well. But you have been asking our patients, Dr. Corbin-Harte, through a recent survey, some questions about our service at the QEH. Talk a bit about how this survey came about.
Sure. So in the hospital's efforts to ensure that we meet the needs of the patients, it was obvious that you need to find out from the patients themselves how their experience was. We obviously can sit down and make decisions in a meeting room and say, well, I think the patients need this and I think the patients need that, but you never know, the patients might need something else, or something else may be more important to them. So of course hearing it from the horse's mouth is always the best. So we have a patient survey running, and our patient relations representatives, they are the ones who go around to the patients, whether they're inpatients on the ward or there are patients in the accident and emergency, let them know about the survey, get them connected via the QR code or the website to the survey. And for those persons who do not have a device, they use the departmental tablet to be able to allow the patient to air their views on our questions.
So just to be clear, are your patient service reps?
Yes.
What are they called?
Patient relations representatives.
The patient relations representatives.
Or
PRRs. So we want you to get familiar with the terms as well. So we have PRRs who are roaming through the accident and emergency department and on the wards
yes.
at our hospital.
Yes.
So they would have gone to patients.
Yes.
And what they do. I just want you to reiterate that so that the message would be clear what happens.
Of course. So for the inpatients wards, they go to the new admissions. They welcome them to the hospital, explain frequently asked questions, and issue them with a patient handbook, which the patients can use during their stay and even after to be able to jot down notes from their doctors. And the handbook also manages the patient's expectations and shares with them what their rights are. They also then tell them about the survey and ask that they kindly participate in it, because the feedback of the patient is ultimately the most important thing. So that is what they do on the wards and in accident and emergency.
All right, so we're going to go to those questions very shortly that you would have asked those patients. Some very important questions to gauge our service delivery to the public. But we have some callers to the show already. Good morning. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we help? Hi, good morning, caller. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we help?
Good morning, Shane. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
And we say the
Dr. Corbin-Harte.
Pardon?
Dr. Rhea Corbin-Harte, the manager of patient relations.
Then she should be a lady with a heart. She said,
I do.
At least I like my questions to answer with a heart. My two problems I have is that when people go to the A&E, they say that they always have people coming in with gunshots or asthma attacks. I believe this is too long. Every year you hear this. It's too long now that I've been hearing that the people have to leave that department and go and assist. They should have a team in place for that. That is my first question. That is my first answer to that one. And then the other one is that they don't have any beds because people bring their people and leave them there. To me, those are frivolous excuses. I'm certain that if they have to bring everybody a popular thing, they are not going to put. I have two people that come in there that with a cancer, but the cancer patients, and they were put in chairs. I'm certain if there's anybody of prominence, they're going to find a bed to put them in.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. But
no, and I'm not going to allow you to.
If there's anybody of prominence,
no, don't do that. Don't do that, because that is what I would term erroneous. Our beds, and I mean Dr. Corbin-Harte can speak to how bed management is done at the hospital, because she has also been a doctor in the accident and emergency department, and recently she was here talking about how we see and manage patients in the department. And I'll give you this example. We have spoken about the elderly for care and the young for care, those of them being left at the hospital. And our departments, or through our social care department, would have reached out to various families, especially when these patients are ready for discharge, and asked them to come to collect their loved ones. In many cases, some cases we can't get through on the number which the families would leave. In some cases, we get through to the people or the individuals, the family member, the next of kin that is supposed to come and collect the individual, and they either refuse to, or they say they can't care for that loved one when they're supposed to come back, in many cases to their own home. These are situations, and these are just a few of the examples that our bed management team, our social care team, and our team in general at the hospital, our discharge team, are dealing with at present. And I'm not saying before, I'm saying all now. These are situations that we're dealing with on a daily basis. We are working with the Ministry of Health on an overall solution to the problem, and they have been helping us to do our discharges safely as we go about that course. But it is not as simple as saying that, for one, that is an excuse. It is not an excuse. It is the reality. And I'll let Dr. Corbin-Harte add to that if she can.
Yeah, for sure. I think the distinction needs to be made between beds on the wards and then the beds in the accident and emergency. So when a patient is admitted to the ward after they have been seen in accident and emergency, they are assigned a bed and they're on a ward that is their bed. However, in the accident and emergency, it operates a little bit more differently. It's almost like in a private practice where you go in to see the doctor and you go on the bed while the doctor is seeing you. They examine you on the bed and then you go back into a chair in a private practice. So accident and emergency works somewhat like that. There are some conditions that have to be on a bed. So maybe to give an example, persons who and this is an example, but you can't let me not give the example. What I'm trying to say is that in any given situation, you have to do something called like triage. We've said that word before, whereby if you have one bed left and you have two patients, a cancer patient and a pregnant patient, there's certain objective criteria that you look at to say which patient needs this bed. And it's not that you're not actively looking for another bed toward the patient, but you have a certain amount of bed space. Correct. You have a certain amount of bed space. So you may have a cancer patient who is there because they cut their finger while trying to cook, not because of a cancer-related issue. And then you might have a pregnant lady who's actively bleeding and so dizzy that every time she tries to walk, she falls. So in that case, there's an objective reason for the pregnant lady to get it over the cancer patient. Or maybe even that person may not even be pregnant. It may be a regular person. It may be a male, a young male. His condition is such that if he's sitting in a chair, he is more likely to have adverse effect than this other patient. It is not that persons don't have a heart. It is just you have, in any given moment, how accident and emergency works, whether it be for beds, whether it be for assignment of staff, it is which patient needs it most first. Right. So you may have, at this moment, a cancer patient may need it most, but at that moment, that cancer patient may actually be in a better situation than someone else. And you used that example recently. Caller, we have to answer your other question as well. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll come back and respond to that.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Jemmets Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
Back with you on the Pulse Radio Show, a production of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in collaboration with our sponsors, MedSafe Medical Supplies, and of course, Q100.7 FM CBC Radio. Caller, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm going to still stick to my point, Shane.
No, we don't want you sticking to your point. Wait, hold tight. Oh, we're coming to that.
Yes.
We're coming to that. But as far as the bed capacity is concerned, because you were questioning in relation, your question
I'm sure that they're not going to put anybody on prominence in a chair.
Don't do that.
I'm certain
it depends
that.
on what's happening with the patient.
Yes.
Because it depends on. It really does depend on what is happening with the patient. As a doctor who's worked in accident and emergency, I've seen all kinds of levels of patients. If we have, and I don't want to get into who's prominent and who's not prominent, but the point I'm trying to make in accident and emergency, how everything works is who needs it most, whether that it be a doctor, a bed, a medication. Who needs it most? That's what you do first, and then after. And
I'll help you with your opinion. You said someone of prominence. I think you could change that word in terms of severity. Instead of prominence, use the word severity. The severity of the condition determines how that person, or the urgency with which that patient is treated, whether it be in terms of the immediacy of the treatment by medical personnel or directing them to bed placement. Mm-hmm. So it's about severity and not prominence.
Yes, because if someone of prominence, to use the caller's word, comes in, and again they're there because they need stitches on their hand because they cut their hand cutting up the Christmas turkey, they can sit in a chair. Their vitals are normal. They can sit in a chair, because if somebody else comes in and that person, same example I gave, is actively seizing, then they go on the bed. So in accident and emergency, that's how resources, whether they be physical or human, are applied. And that brings us into the first part of the question, where you mentioned about having a team specific for emergencies such as gunshots. They do have that. However, when there is no gunshot or there is no asthma attack, that doctor or doctors are seeing patients. So imagine, Shane, the shift leader creates a plan. Today you're going to do stat room, which is the emergencies. You're going to do asthma, etc. And they all go off doing their thing. And then a gunshot wound comes in, a motor vehicle accident, and an asthma attack within 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. The one of those persons may be needing immediate CPR. Category 1, right? Those are persons that have to be seen right away to avoid serious injury or death. What is going to happen is that the shift leader will then call all doctors or most of the doctors to that one patient, because out of everyone they have there who is urgent, this one patient is most urgent and must be seen now, or the effects will be quite negative. So we can't have a team that is there for gunshot wounds and emergencies that does nothing while there's no patient like that. They are all still seeing patients, but when something comes in, it's like all hands on deck.
Yes, like a mass casualty, as Dr. Corbin-Harte would have mentioned, a gunshot injury, who is serious, because there are gunshot injuries that are not serious, not serious as well.
Yes.
So it just
This
depends.
is why severity really is the word, because you can have a gunshot injury that grazes your leg. It's not actively bleeding. You're not actively losing blood. You're comfortable. Your vitals are normal, meaning your heart is functioning well. And then you could have a stab wound that hit the wrong part of the chest or hit a prominent artery, and it's actively bleeding, and we know that in a few minutes this patient could lose their entire blood supply. That person would be more severe.
So caller, so there is a team to manage such situations, and it is not about prominence, rather severity of the condition coming in to the accident and emergency department. Okay. Let's go to the next caller. Welcome to the Pulse Radio Show. How can we assist?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Not too bad, sir. Listen, I have a problem here at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen carefully. The 18th of March, I went to the hospital for our outpatient clinic.
Yes.
Right? my stomach, I get a problem with my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went there at 8:30.
Right.
I leave there at 1:30.
Right.
No, they told me, the nurse called me and told me that they cannot find the records for me.
You can't find your note.
Records for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Good. They gave me another appointment for the 15th of April.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So
I went-
18th of March and then the 15th of April.
Yeah, right? I went back to them 50 at that time. That time was for 9 o'clock.
Right.
Right? Now, the lady called me about, say, 1 o'clock again. Tell me, I say, see a doctor. They came me to see a doctor. They tell me they can't find the notes. So, the doctor I see, she asked me why can't be hospital. I said, well, the notes are there, and they will tell you I dealing with my stomach. I think she said, well, right now they can't find the notes for you. They can't find your records, and what we have to do is give you 2 more weeks, leave come in 2 weeks, and see if they find the records. That's what the doctor told me.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they gave me the 29th of April.
Right. A few days
I
ago.
went back the 29th.
Yeah, a few days ago. Mm-hmm.
Right, and I saw. Well, I saw a different doctor now. Not necessarily the one that tell me that they can't find a note that I saw a different one now. Right, and she told me. Well, she asked me, but she gave me an X-ray. Not X-ray. She checked my stomach and that sort of thing. 'Cause I still getting problems with my stomach. Mm-hmm. Okay, now. She tell me, well, right now, you don't know when you come to the hospital for. I said, well, the doctor girl told me that I have to get something he can't for the piece of paper he gave me to write name, but I don't know what he do with it. A little piece of paper he gave me for the date.
And you don't know what you do with it.
I don't know what he do with the piece of paper.
You gotta keep them things safe, yeah.
I was looking for it. I thought I had it inside if I got the records and thing, but I don't have it.
Right.
But now I got to go back. I got to come back to the hospital. I'm a heart patient.
What was the next date?
No, that was the April the 3rd.
But you just said you have to come back.
April the 3rd or May the 3rd?
May the 3rd?
Because we were at April 29th.
Yeah, you were at April 29th. And you
I was
said
at
that you
April
had to
29th now to June now on the 3rd.
June the 3rd.
Right, that's for the outpatient.
Uh-huh.
But now I have to come back to the hospital for the heart thing, the 14th.
14th of May?
Yes, the 14th of this month.
Okay.
Right?
So, what I would want you to do...
Just call pals.
Yeah, definitely call the Patient Advice and Liaison Service. That number is 536...
Wait, hold on, let me get a pen.
Yes, just for all callers.
So while he gets a pen, Shane, this is a good example of a case that pals can try to assist.
Yeah.
For example, like he can't find the paper, they can try to figure out what may have been on that paper to share with him. They can try to follow up on the notes if it came back or not, if it was found, or not. And just kind of help him through the process while the notes unfortunately can't be found.
Yeah. Is it a situation where that you can liaise with doctors to create a fresh set of notes?
Yes. So yes and no. Of course, we can get a sheet of paper and start a new note. Of course. But doctors need information that went before to be able to... I put it like, when you read Nancy Drew and you have different clues, you're putting everything together to try to figure out what is wrong. So the patient may know, I have a stomach issue, my stomach is bothering me, but the doctor wants to know what stomach tests were done, what were the results, so that they get a path of thinking. And that is the details of the information that will be in the note.
So in some cases, you may need a fresh series of tests to create a new note.
Yes, which is obviously not ideal, but if it has to be done, it has to be done. But we have the health information system coming on board relatively soon. They're really trying to work on it. It is not an easy task by any means. I've been in some of the meetings, and the amount of things that this information system will need to do is very vast. But that is coming, and that will negate the issue of not being able to find a physical note.
Indeed. Because what you will have, not only for our team but the patient, they'll be able to access their own
certain parts,
information at their fingertips as well.
Yes,
to see their appointments, to see their notes and all
like
of
some
that.
of their results.
Indeed,
Yeah.
and it's
that would
kept
be
in
helpful.
a private server, so that the people who are seeing it are the doctors and the patients and the medical teams managing that patient. So it is kept in basically
secure area,
secure and private electronic digital region to make sure that we protect patient information. But caller, you're still there?
Listen, I can give you the records number.
So what you can do is that you can share that with the officer,
the producer.
You could, or when he calls the PAL's desk, because we were going to give him the PAL's number. So the hospital PAL, which is the officer for the help desk, you can share everything you explain to us, explain to them, and ask them to see how they can help you, okay?
Yeah.
And they will ask you for your demographic information and so on. So the PAL's number is 536
Yes, please.
4800.
Yes,
536 4800.
536-4800. You make that call, and our patient advice and liaison service officer will assist you as best as they can to ensure that we hopefully locate that note, and that when you go to your next appointment, that the doctors can tell you what's the next course for you.
Yeah, because I have another appointment here for May 14th for my heart.
Yeah, so
that's
by the
for
time
a test, sir? Is that for a test?
To check out my heart to see how it's doing.
Okay. So yes, you speak with the because some appointments need notes and some don't. So that's why I said, speak with the patient advice and liaison service so that they can check certain things in the back system to be able to assist you with your case. But that's what they're there for. Any queries or questions or problems, you can call, and the hospital PAL's desk, patient advice and liaison service, they will direct you as to the best course to have things sorted for you.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Wish you all the best, sir.
All right. Thank you.
You're
Have
welcome.
a good day.
Yes. I just want our listeners to remember too, today is World Hand Hygiene Day. It's something that our infection prevention and control team has been promoting in the lead up to today. It's always good to make sure that do those things that we were reminded of squarely in COVID, about washing your hands and ensuring that your hygiene is a top priority for you. They could help you to avoid those infectious diseases that may be swirling around. So a big shout out to our IPC team at the hospital on this World Hand Hygiene Day.
So important.
So important. Just as important as the survey that we have been conducting for those patients at the hospital. With the help of them, we can help to improve our services. So we're going to go into some of the things that were identified on this survey. Let's look at those questions first. Let's hear some of those questions that you would have asked our patients, Dr. Corbin-Harte.
Sure. So we split the surveys. We have the accident and emergency one, and we have the inpatient one. I'll start with the inpatient one. Of course, we collect demographics such as age and gender so that we can see if any trends are synonymous with certain ages. But in terms of the questions, we ask questions that let us know how we're doing in terms of the hospital amenities. So in terms of the bathrooms, the parking facility, the beds, the wards. We ask about the cleanliness and comfort of the ward. We ask them to rate the quality of their meals. The meals department, our kitchen department, has been working extremely hard to improve the quality of the meals. We asked if their dietary restrictions were met. For example, persons who are vegan, have allergies or lactose intolerance. And we also then get into how their care was with the nurses and doctors, which are the staff that would interact with the patients more. We get into that as well. Should I elaborate here?
There are some key questions that I want to get into that we always hear, on the call-in programs and generally when we speak about the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in the public forums. So we'll get back to that after this commercial break.
Yes.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.
Back with you on the Pulse Radio Show with Dr. Rhea Corbin-Harte, our Manager of Patient Relations. I'm Shane Seeley, Communications Specialist, and we're talking about our hospital survey, our Queen Elizabeth Hospital Patient Experience Survey, recently conducted to gauge your feelings, patients' feelings, about what we are doing at hospital in terms of managing their treatment path and some of the services that we provide while they are patients at our hospital. Dr. Corbin-Harte just went through a number of the questions that we would have asked patients, our PRRs, our patient relations reps. They would have gone to the patients while in admission or in the A&E to assess how they're feeling about their treatment at the QEH. So where do you want to go next, Dr. Corbin-Harte, in terms of you share the questions?
I can share a bit of the result.
The results. Let's go to the results.
So this is for March of this year. When we asked the patients, did you feel as if your care, and we say feel specifically because it is what you feel, what they feel is valid.
Their opinion.
It's not what we feel they feel, it's what they feel. Mm-hmm. So we asked, did you feel that your care was well coordinated between the different healthcare providers, meaning doctors, nurses, and specialists? And it's important to state that many patients, when they come into the hospital, they're actually seen and co-managed by multiple specialties, meaning you could have internal medicine weigh in on your conversation. They get a consult from cardiology. It's a team approach. And we found that 98% of the respondents said that they felt their care was well coordinated between the specialties. So these are the persons on the ward. They're in the forefront. They're the persons that the staff are coming to every day, and they feel, 98% of them, that their care was well coordinated between the different specialties and persons managing them.
Yes.
So that, we have been working hard to improve things, definitely, and even for those persons who may have a bad experience or those questions where we do not do as well as we target to do, that is where our learning point is and our improvement point is and our plan that comes out of the survey. So we look at the questions we do well in, and we're grateful, we're thankful that things are working, but we also, of course, look at the ones we don't do well.
In that 98%, do we have like a comment section where we can share some of the comments which people would have shared with us while responding? That 98%, that's a very good metric.
Yes, so these comments are, this is where we ask persons to share about their hospital stay, whether positive or negative.
So
give them an
open comments.
This is an open forum. Person said things like, everything was okay, it is fine, the doctors are doing a good job, I saw positive response to all patients. This morning the nurses on the ward were really amazing, sweet, and helpful. We do have a negative comment, and like I said, we're going to be transparent. We get some of all. They said that the ambulance took too long to come for them, and of course the ambulance service is part of us. Let me find some more because there are quite a few here. The staff are nice. The ward is hot and needs fans. That they quoted their specific ward, so by them quoting their specific ward, that was definitely helpful in terms of us being able to respond and manage that. Someone said the food was a lot better on the ward than before. I am on the general ward, so not much privacy is given, but I was okay with that for now. And it's a delicate balance between privacy and safety, I should mention, because the more private you are, the less accessible and the less the nurses can see you. And that is why even for our private wards, a patient's doctor has to accept that that patient is fit to be on a private ward, because if you are too ill, that would not be a safe place for you to be in a room by yourself.
Right.
I recently had a family member there, and the doctor said private ward is not the best place unless you can get 24-hour nursing for him and him alone. And I understood that, because yes, we have 24-hour nursing at the hospital, of course, but he needed someone that had eyes on him at all times, for safety reasons. So in a case like that, a private ward it would not be as safe unless you go the route of additional nursing, which is obviously private.
So that metric, that question, in terms of the responses, is giving the work done by our medical teams on the ward an A grade. I would say an A plus grade if it's 98%.
Yes.
What about A&E? What is said
Accident and emergency.
about accident and emergency? Because I know some of the questions would be definitely related to that department, which is by far the department which interfaces with patients the most daily, especially in terms of first appearance.
Yes. Okay, so in terms of the question that asks, how satisfied were you with the care provided by the healthcare professionals? We had 65% of persons say they were satisfied, and 18% said they were very satisfied.
Okay,
so that's 65 and 18 is 73?
65 and 18 is 83.
83. School teachers would not be proud. I'm sorry, but 83% basically satisfied or more satisfied. And again, these are the persons in the hot seat that are actually being seen by the patients. We did have some dissatisfied, and we did have some very dissatisfied. The very dissatisfied were less than 5%, but that is still significant to us, and we would like to get that number down even more.
But when you talk about 65 and 18% of respondents to the survey, 65 and 18 being 83%, being at least satisfied, it's also a very good metric for the accident and emergency department. We hear the complaints. We hear about the long waits experienced by some patients. We hear about the concerns. Even a short while ago, that first caller talking about how we go about seeing the patients. But on the flip side, we do have this metric here, which has measured a number of people saying that they are at least satisfied with the service provided by the accident and emergency department. I want to applaud the A&E team for continuing to do whatever they can to make patients feel as comfortable as possible. They have an enormous task because on many occasions we see that Dr. Cruikshank, the head of the department, is saying, that their department is full. As something, it's an ongoing daily battle in terms of getting the patients either on the ward or some patients are discharged,
treated and discharged. Yes,
exactly.
And I mean, these staff are human also. These are the staff that see a gunshot wound that may kill a young person, unfortunately, and then have to walk into a room and see a mother who's about to have her first baby. You know what I mean? And they're still human, and they're dealing with this high pressure situation every day. They have split seconds to make decisions. Should I go there first? Should I go there first? And we tend to hear the negative comments, as you said. We tend not to hear the positive comments, but persons have been willing to share their positive comments with us on the survey. We have had persons who had a negative experience, and we do encourage them to also do the survey. I did do a check to make sure that we're getting a cross section of patients filling the survey, which is important because you don't want it to be skewed. And we do have a cross section, patients who are upset, patients who are happy, and that is what we want, to hear the voices.
And on top of that too, as we move to enhance the services across the board, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has hired a number of entities to help us really do just that, improve our services. And some of them are on the ground now, examining our processes, and of course they would give us the feedback so that then we can work collaboratively to enhance our service delivery to our patients, to our visitors as well, and to anyone who interfaces with our medical teams. So this is also a part of that strategy, the 2025 to 2028 strategy, which has been unveiled, of course shared with you by our Chief Executive Officer, Neil Clark, our Chief Operations Officer, Dr. Christine Greenidge, and the executive team. They would have spent some time here in Season 2 sharing that with you. So we're now seeing some of the results of that come into being. So we do these surveys, but we also have people on the ground working with our teams to enhance our services across the board. Let's look at another question, Rhea. What do you have for us? In terms of these things,
I have so many I can't choose.
Some of the things that we would have asked our patients.
Okay, this is an important one. Were you given sufficient information about your diagnosis, treatment, plan, and medications? Yeah. We had 90% of the respondents say yes, and 10% said no. That 10% is significant to me, because if a patient doesn't understand what's going on with them and understand the plan, 1, they're not going to feel comfortable. 2, they're not going to feel like their problem has been solved. And 3, they're not going to follow the treatment plan, which ultimately could mean that they don't improve the way we would like.
So it's all about closing those communication gaps.
Yes. And I mean, I encourage patients, gone are the days where the patient did not pay attention to their health. Nowadays, persons are becoming more patient-centered. We want patients to write notes, ask questions, get an exercise book, and keep all of your notes. We want that. If you go to another doctor or something happens to you,
I can't believe you just said get an exercise book when people have their phones and their notes.
I can't believe I said that either. It's true. It is true.
They have their notebooks and their phones now. But I know there are some people who...
As techie as I am, there is nothing like when you write down things in a book and you can look back at it and turn the pages. I'm sure there are persons out there that can't identify with me. But yes, technology makes sense, because wherever you are in the world...
Bob, our Director of Support Services, she loves... writing in her book, stuff
yes.
like that.
But yes, we should use our technology, because then it's easier to like search for a word, etc. But however you choose to do it, I do encourage persons, don't leave your care in the doctor's hands. Yes, the doctor is there to care for you, but if you know your information, you are better able to explain yourself and advocate for yourself. And if you go to another doctor in a different location, you can also provide your information, and it reduces tests being duplicated. Indeed. As well.
And that's one of the main drivers of the Pulse Radio Show this season, because we want to empower patients to be more proactive as far as their health care is concerned. So it's all about empowering you, so that you know that at the end of the day, your health care is your priority. Yes, the doctors are there to help you along the way and to assist you and to also treat you so that you can get back to 100%, to feeling well and to feeling like you can manage yourself on a daily basis. But as an individual, you need to put your health first. And we want to help you through the Pulse Radio show do just that. So as Dr. Corbin-Harte said, when you have those situations where you interface with the doctor communicates with you, tells you about your treatment path, it is good that you can make your own notes for reference. Yes, we have our patient notes where, very soon you'll be able to see them firsthand when we get that health information system up and running to full capacity. But in the interim, of course, as Dr. Corbin-Harte advised, document that information, that communication that you get from our doctors and nurses and our medical teams, and it would help you to better advocate for your own health care, which you are now taking responsibility for.
Yes.
You have another question there to share with us, Dr. Corbin-Harte?
Not a question, but 2 general comments on the survey. What I would say coming out of the survey when we analyze the results and the responses is that, as you would have noticed in one of the questions, persons say yes, they had good communication to them. But one of the areas that we can improve on is communication between departments. That is something that is coming out of the survey that is apparent, and something that we have been looking at for a while and trying to improve, and we will continue to try to improve using the survey to drive that. In terms of the overall experience at the Accident and Emergency Department, I'll just share that one quickly. We had 53% or so saying they were satisfied, and about 10% saying they were very satisfied. So that's about 63% being satisfied or more. We had about 22% who were neutral about it, And then in terms of the dissatisfied and very dissatisfied, we had about 8% and about 6%, which is like 14% who were dissatisfied or worse. And to us, that is significant. Of course, in the coming months, as we continue the survey, we would obviously compare quarter 1 to quarter 2 to quarter 3 and match with what our improvement measures were, to see what improvement measures are working and therefore what should be continued. So it's always a continuous process. It is not a one and done. It will always be a continuous process. If the needs of the patients change, then we would need to pivot and change with that as well.
How often does patient relations conduct these surveys to ensure, that we are on top of things?
So as much as daily in some instances, if not every other day.
Wow.
So we do get a wide cross section of patients. It will not be 100% of patients, but it is
it's a good sample size.
Statisticians will say a statistically significant, that's a tongue twister, amount of patients to be able to give us the feedback that we can actually make decisions on.
Okay, so as the statisticians would say,
yes,
a statistically good sample size.
Sample size, yes.
So that we can get a better understanding of how our patients are feeling about the treatment they receive from our medical teams. Remember, we have 10 more minutes to spend with you here on the Pulse Radio Show. We thank those callers who call and share with us. You can call us as well if you have a concern or you want to share a compliment. 434-1007 or 434-1070. Send us a WhatsApp as well at 434-1007. There's one other question that I know may be a bit interesting, let me put it that way, that was asked on the survey about the meals served at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. This has been a talking point for quite a while in terms of what food we serve our patients while they're on the wards and while they're receiving treatment with us. Now, I always remember something that was said to me: when you're in a hospital, do not expect a 5-star Michelin service meal, because we also have to make sure that the dietary requirements are met for your recovery.
Yes.
So it may not be, and please don't look out for any macaroni pie and
pigtails that fried and barbecued.
Come on. Yeah. Don't look out for anything like that. What are they saying about the food as far as the service is concerned, food and beverages?
Yes, sure. So I know that our food and beverage team has been working over the years to improve. For our accident and emergency, we had 35% of our respondents saying satisfied and about 11% saying very satisfied. So that's 46. I made myself shame earlier. 35 and 11? Yes, 46. So they were satisfied and very satisfied. We had some persons who were neutral, about 25%. And then in the teens, we had some dissatisfied and very dissatisfied, which means that is, again, area for improvement. You were quite right to say that it is not going to be like when you go to a restaurant and choose from 20 different options, but also the doctors and the nursing teams and our dietary team, they also influence what meals are served to specific patients. So if you're in for certain things, they will say, well, no this, no that, low salt, low sugar, or they may even say things like clear fluids only, which means soup and it's just the broth. So somebody may say, well, how they give me soup and ain't going to dumplings, ain't going to pigtail? That's because the doctor wants you to have clear fluids only. You may have just had surgery on your intestines, on your stomach. That will influence, so your tea will come without milk. So it's not going to be like when you're at home on Christmas Day or Easter Monday and you're eating up a storm. It is things that will be directed to what is happening with you in hospital.
Dietary requirements.
Yes.
The doctors are making sure that you're eating only what you're supposed to be eating at that time.
Yes.
We have another caller here on the Pulse Radio Show. Good morning, caller. How can we assist? You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. We can hear you now.
Peace be on each and every one.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hope you had a great Easter.
Of course, yes, I did.
And a good Heroes Day and amazing.
Everything. I'm enjoying. I'm thankful for life. I would like it, but I'm thankful.
Okay, we help you here.
As my late adopted dad would say, one day at a time.
Indeed.
But you always speaking about the diets, but I've been to the hospital more than once to look for persons that even in there too, and the person is diabetic, and when they come, the tea is too sweet. Something in and they have the paper on it where the server will bring, and they have the paper, but still the meal is not good enough for the person. So you all must check that too, and that is the gospel truth.
Yeah, and that's what this survey is helping us to do, because just over 30% of respondents would have said that they weren't satisfied with the meal. So that is something that we have to take into serious consideration. As Dr. Corbin-Harte was saying, our the kitchen and our kitchen staff, they're looking to up their game as far as the meals are concerned and the presentation. But they do have to follow the doctor's requirements for the patients in preparing those meals.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to the Mormon Church and all those persons who donate to the hospital.
You mean
and the next thing,
the
if
Church
God
of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yes. And the next thing I would like to see, if God spare my life, because we are not sure about life anymore, because if I mind myself, I go to a funeral every day of persons that I know, that is passing.
Yeah.
But I would like to see the MRI machine come into the Bedford hospital. And I would like to, like the person for cataract surgeries, and just the same MRI thing. I would like it to speed up a little bit. I know you all are working hard, but I would like it to speed up, because some people get put back for a year and a half, and things. So I would like something to be done about that. And as I all contribute, put something there that we could contribute.
Yeah. And
so to help, because there are a lot of sick persons out here, and they need assistance. And sometimes when you go to the hospital, they tell you where if you have the funds, you can pay and get it, because they don't know when you'll be able to get it there. So please assist those that cannot help. And if there's something that we could put to help fund these things, let us do it, because we need care. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and God bless Barbados. You all try and stay safe.
Thank you for your contributions, caller.
Yeah, indeed.
Do have a good day.
Because without your contribution, I shouldn't say that, but that contribution helps to advocate for other persons, and it helps us to understand the areas where we need to address in terms of speeding up diagnostics, and that's what the CT scanner in accident and emergency will help us to do. Once working at full capacity, that will help us to speed up the time that we get back those diagnoses to the patients, so that we can advance their care. You would have seen this shared in the media, that 128 slice CT scanner, which now is in the halls of the expanded accident and emergency department. And we must thank the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for that amazing donation, $1.7 million, I think it is, in donation. And they will be continuing their philanthropy at the hospital to ensure that really we have some of the equipment that we need to get that job done. Of course, we have that CAPEX, which the capital expenditure program, where we will get a significant amount of funding to cover a number of other pieces of equipment. So we are definitely trending in the right direction as far as equipment is concerned at the QEH, but we do have some way to go. You wanted to add to that, Dr. Corbin-Harte?
As always, for persons, because caller brought this up, our last caller, persons may want to donate in some way. Our philanthropy department handles that. You can call the Hospital PAL desk 536-4800 to receive contact information for our philanthropy department. Any donation, you mentioned just now that we got the donation of $1.7 million worth. Yes, there are companies, of course, that can handle that, but we also have donations where someone might say, I have $50, I may have $100, or I have a microwave I'd like to give to staff. Every donation counts. So our philanthropy department can help with that. give the Hospital Pals desk 536-4800 a call to receive the contact information for that department.
Speaking to the survey, the QEH Inpatient Experience Survey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with the results, and what would you say are the areas that we are working to address?
I am pleasantly happy with the results. I am happy that we have data that can show that our staff are working as hard as we know they're working, and also that our initiatives are helping. Definitely the areas for improvement or continued improvement would be, yes, the meals, and then the communication between departments as identified by the patients, and also the communication with what I call the patient's third party, which is the relatives. We, according to the survey, we are communicating with the patient, but not as much with the patient relative.
What about the next of kin? Did it speak to that?
Yeah, so when I say relative, I mean next of kin. Person say relative, next of kin, family. And you know, these are the persons who the patient will be coming home to. These are the persons who tend to have to make arrangements for the patients, and these are the patient's loved ones, and they're obviously invested in the patient's condition and care. And sometimes the patient may not be able to answer all of the questions that that relative may have, because that relative is the one thinking about, what do I need to change at home? You know, if mommy had a stroke, do we need this? Do we need that? Do I need 24-hour nursing? So the relatives also are invested, and that part we need to work on as well.
Final comments from you?
Just really want to thank all the persons who do fill out the survey. We do get a good response, because without this, we will be making decisions blindly. So we thank persons whether they had a negative experience or positive experience for filling out our survey. Of course, anybody else who wants to contribute to sharing their experience with us can go to qehconnect.com and click the Contact Us tab.
Yes, indeed. www.qehconnect.com. You can find all of the information you need there, really, and you definitely find those ways to contact us. Remember, our Hospital Pals is 536-4800. That's Patient Advice and Liaison Service. If you want to sign on to the medication delivery service, that's 536-4804. Yes, 536-4804. And remember, you can always reach us through the PBX as well. That's 436-6450. Thank you for listening to another edition of the Pulse Radio Show. I'm Shane Seeley alongside Dr. Rhea Corbin-Harte. She is the manager of patient relations at our hospital. Next week, we will be dealing with the signs and symptoms of stroke and what you need to know about identifying those and really getting to hospital and getting the response you need at in an adequate period of time. We'll delve into that next week. Until then, you be safe. I'm Shane Seeley. Have a good week.
The QEH Pulse Radio Show, brought to you with the kind compliments of MedSafe Medical Supplies.
For all your medical supply needs, visit MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited. We offer a wide range of products including wheelchairs, walkers, canes, crutches, blood pressure machines, stethoscopes, and so much more. Conveniently located on Gemmett's Lane, just a 2-minute walk from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for your convenience, we deliver free to the QEH. Open Monday to Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Call us at 624-7542. MedSafe Medical Supplies Limited, your trusted source for medical essentials.